Here.
Via Zoom.
Jody Cole,
So,
Ian Voorhees,
just for what
Judge
that does,
Calhoun, here.
that will
Mayor
not be
Redknapp,
good right there. So,
Here.
but it's the
Judge
guy
Moore,
that
Present.
has the shop, Madison.
Judge White, Judge Bennett, Sherry Reagan, Sam Beasley, Lindsay Wellman, here, Ben Gibbs. Ollie Martin, so Chris Dorner,
Here.
Jeff Helm, and Tangi Rapp.
All right, thank you. Let the record show quorum is present. As everybody knows, we have a new piece of tech in the room. This is to comply with the 1338 AGA 1338 live stream of public meetings and warehousing those for up to 90 days for any public meeting. That's public access law stuff. So just bear with us as we use new technology.
And it is very difficult to Zoom and live stream. Took a lot of why Eric.
Yes. Thank you for
Such as clearly not working anyway, so.
Okay, first item on the agenda is the approval for minutes from May of 2025.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of accepting the approval of the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Thank you. Up next are the financial reports for May and June of 25. Did we want to give us an update on what's going on with financials? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, okay, so for our financials for our grant, that is on the smaller page. We're ahead on our grant money, but we're using all of our health insurance, our personal FICA are coming out of that, so those will start kind of dwindling and become even every month. We revamped our CTP program. We did have a employee that was being half paid out of that program and half paid out of the grant. We had gone to council and got that switched. So now half of her salary is coming out of our project income because we never know month to month how many clients we're gonna have enrolled in that CTP program. So we're actually using that currently as kind of a little savings account. I was working on getting that back positive because it's been negative all year. So finally this month we did go back positive. So that is positive $1,400. Like I said, we're gonna just leave that for a while. If you need to roll some of that money over in project income, we will, but we're gonna leave it. Our project income balance is currently sitting at $476,990. So we're doing really good on the year. The only other thing I would say is just, are you gonna mention stuff? Yeah, I'll let Jane talk about them.
All right. Are there any other questions regarding the financial report? Hearing none, entertain a motion to approve the financial report as presented. Second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Financial reports accepted. Executive report. Jane?
We are having our Port Alcohol drug recertification in October, November. November. This year is the first year that the entire thing is virtual, so we're not really sure how that works with file reviews and passing on.
It just means we have to upload all of our files to SRS. Very common. So that's what we're working on right now.
Not the 4 year.
They will not be coming here. It's all be virtual, so that new technology.
Hopefully by then we'll be better. Once every 4 years.
If
Port Alcohol
we do well, it's once every 4.
Yeah, 4 years to file.
No,
Oh,
we just, all we have to upload is our current job. Thank goodness.
yeah. Yeah.
Have to move in.
Um,
Anybody else, the interviewing The board.
So I know they do for problem solving for the last time when they were here, they slowly identified.
We just use, Judge Pike, they have prosecutor. The Roberta will be here, she does most of it. And
I assume that will be virtual.
for educational, yeah, they'll all, on the agenda and all. So,
And one thing I did not get put on here is Jeff and I applied for the 6th round of the opioid money. They wanted to, we had to go ahead and apply, but they will not tell us till towards the end of the year if they will even have the funds. Because I believe they are federal funds that the state gets, and the state disperses them, but they wanted to see what kind of interest there would be for that grant. There are some changes. Jeff was not able to ask for money for incentives. They took that away this year, actually, so we had to get that switched. So the probation department is going to do like a scholarship program type thing for services here. So then that money can pay for classes and assessments here. It is not allowed to be used for drug screening anymore. So he had to kind of shift, and then the other half of that is for Dawn to. So I did get that turned in, so we'll hear something about that grant later on in the year. And then we do have a couple of community service opportunities. I know Ben had emailed probation. We will be out at the fair all next week, and then the first weekend in August is the fire up downtown. I will be working both of those events, so if you have out of county people that maybe, I know I've gotten a couple of Wayne County individuals that are not through here, they're through their probation department, so it will be me as the point of contact for your probationer if you need them to work. That's all I do.
So they'd be willing to take assistance from other counties where people need to do.
We had a probation officer that had referred someone over here that the case is still active in Wayne County, and so then the paperwork is from Wayne County that I'm filling out. So I didn't know if there were other probationers that could have that same thing where it's not necessary. They're still monitored, you know.
Right, great.
But it'll be me the whole week at the fair and then the whole weekend at fire.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for Jane? Okay, great. Thanks for that report. Moving on to old business. We had a first item on there was the JRP contract. Is there any updates or?
So I did reach out to the commissioners a couple of weeks ago because they had asked, the contract itself was signed and there were no problems with that. They would like to look at it every year. Instead of, I think that was a 2-year contract in the past, they're gonna look at it every year. They also have asked that I kind of pay attention to the domestic violence cases because of that bill. The reading of it, I know we talked about it in JRAC, that it was kind of, they shall use electronic monitoring. So I don't foresee it having a huge impact because I feel like those individuals are already coming on to JRP if they're still sitting down in the jail. So they had just asked that I kind of pay attention to that in case they have to look at the contract again or if they have to use any money. So we'll look at that as we go forward.
Great. Any questions or other thoughts about JRP contract and so forth? So.
Okay, so they wanted to, so the contract goes for a year now,
Yes,
so every year they want to redo it,
yes,
and negotiate it.
yes.
Okay.
And then I believe how I took it, and Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but they were making sure that the budget had, because we have it capped at 150 individuals. So Commissioner Brand wanted to make sure that he's taking 150 individuals and making sure that the line item had enough money for the year if we had 150 individuals. Is that my understanding of the discussion? Then if it was lower, obviously, then there's still enough money in that line because each year they have to go back from September.
Yeah, we're having trouble with some of the contracts like 5 years, and 5 years. Trying to get more sharp on our numbers.
No, I didn't, I didn't.
I'm still trying to get that down.
Yes, I believe we have 4 on it now. We are having issues with the cell phone program that Verizon has moved us to, so I think we're gonna tell Verizon to help us in this program, but we still don't have phones.
It's been 5 months. But I'm trying to get phones.
Yeah, so we have put them on other individuals' phones because it's just an app. The beauty of us having the phones was we had control of the phone. So I think we still haven't heard back from Verizon. And we signed a contract and we paid the money and we have no phones. Like we ordered the phones. We ordered 10 phones and nothing.
So whose phone are these apps, this happening applied to?
The client's phone that are
Personal
currently, the personal
Okay.
phone, yeah. And a lot of the clients were already using that app because that's how they check in for their drug screens. So now it's just adding the component of a schedule and all of that into the app.
We just wanted the ability to have a little more control over what they were doing on the phone.
Do they sign or waive anything that allows you to look at their phone?
No,
Probably.
I mean, that's, if there's language, do you guys have language?
Well, I mean, we have the rules that they sign up for, minimum waiver,
Yeah, we have that.
which includes electronic devices. Yeah, I don't know, I mean, that's something for, there's probably some laws out there,
Yeah.
case law about that kind of stuff.
Would be easier if the phone wasn't theirs.
Yeah, right.
Well, when we had ordered,
Yeah.
we paid the money and we ordered 10
Right.
phones and we have no phones.
Okay.
So, and I know that Court Fact or Total Court Services, that is our monitoring company, in the fall, they are rolling out their own cell phone program. They will also have, phones for sex offenders that only allows them to utilize the Total Court Services app. That's it. There's no calling, there's no nothing.
Well, and the reason why we signed the contract with Verizon to do the program that we did is because we don't have to physically pay for the phones.
Yeah.
So we didn't have that cost. We just had to pay for the monthly monitoring of it, which is factored into the cost. Where we didn't want to have to use the cost of $1,000 phone for each individual. If they use it, then we're out that money and.
So we're still paying that.
Well, we paid for a contract for them to send us the free phones is what we paid for. So, I have gone back to them and said, I paid 5 months ago for a year
And we have no phones.
and I have no phones, so I either need that money back or it needs to apply to the next year, so.
Because they took us off the program that we had. This is something that's called NICTA, and it's a like 3 tri-state government program that Michigan uses, I think Illinois, us, Ohio, maybe, and Kentucky. But, and so then that was the whole premise of this, is government phones and laptops and things like that they give you for free, and then you're only paying $20 a month or $30 a month, whatever you pick for your service. We did all that, signed all the contracts multiple times, spent the money to do the contract, and then we still can't get phones.
It's brand new. Verizon just rolled it out at the beginning, so I think they're trying to fix their house.
And then when we call the rep says, I'll get back with you. And he doesn't, and we have to call again, we have to email, and not. But I think we're just gonna go back to how we used to do it. And then just.
What's the name of the app?
It's Court Fact.
Court Fact,
Yes,
yeah.
Court Fact. And so,
And it's actually an app you can get off the app store even.
yes.
All right, well, keep us updated on that. Is there any other, questions about JRP? Okay, great. We'll move on. Second item under full business was the 2026 budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very grateful, that we got our entire report out. There are a lot of counties that were not so fortunate. Kind of what I figured, they cut in almost every county was pretrial services. prosecutors diversion and jail treatment programs. My assumption is it is because those aren't a straight line to the DOC. And so the DOC was funding programming for staff that those individuals are not coming to the DOC anyway. So we did get the entire word amount for 2026. So I'm very nice.
Yes, yeah, it's good to see that, so.
Because they kind of had you worried, like they're like, $10,000 or $200,000. When I read it, I'm like, I'm reading this right. I sent it to these two, and I was like, I am reading this right.
Yeah, you know, so we'll just have to continue to monitor that over the next couple of years. I think it's a lot of what a lot of us are looking at 2028, but congratulations on that. Is there any other discussion about 2026 budget matters? Okay. All right, moving on to new business. First item was the CQI policy.
Yes, so Donna and I are going to a 3-day continuous quality.
Okay.
It is one of our goals with the DOC over the next 2-3 years. So Donna and I are going to a 3-day training on CQI. I am going to have like a draft of some ideas for a policy take out with us, and then after this training, kind of tweak it and then get that out to you guys so we can start implementing a trial run with the policy. That is one of the things that they are suggesting, is that you know, just shoot out policy, adopt it, but kind of work with it, change it, so you're not constantly changing things. So I'll get that to you when we come back out this July 22nd, 23rd, 24th. So we will be in Indianapolis for 2 days. So look for a policy. I'll get it to you guys in August, and then we can talk about it in September.
Is that DOC hosting that?
It's
Or?
DOC and the University of Cincinnati.
Great. Is there any other discussion about CQI or training or anything along those lines? Okay, move on to the next item, home detention changes.
So along with some of our goals, in the assessment that the DOC did, is some changes that we're going to start to implement in home detention. We had a case manager leave, we also have a supervisor. So thankfully we can fill, we kind of put that on hold until I knew what my budget was gonna be, so we can fill that case manager position for next year. So I will be listing that next week, with the county. I'm gonna take our time, and one of the things that they have suggested is look for individuals with a degree. That is kind of difficult with what we pay. So that's unfortunate. That's the two that left, is because of salary. They went to places that were paying more. So hopefully we can maybe try to get somebody in here that is newly out of college, maybe to gain some experience. But one of the other things that they have is training that individual, and then they're expecting you to take months to train an individual before they even do the work. Which is kind of difficult with home detention, because you got to utilize the program, like you got to get in there and know how to do the schedule and things like that. So we're looking to get that person hired within the next month or two, and then get them started training. On the supervisor position, that was a position that was already filled with an individual when I became director. I've been here long enough to know that that was the position that was maybe not necessarily needed 20 years ago, and that it had been created along the way. The surveillance supervisor in itself does not entail a full-time with what all of that job description was. We would like to maybe look at doing a part-time home detention supervisor that will take over some of those duties and slowly do a job description of what that looks like for the home detention department. Joe Sutter, that is currently in the court alcohol and drug program, he has volunteered to start taking on some of those tasks. So he is already dealing with our equipment, our vehicles, and then the point of contact for surveillance. That is what the surveillance supervisor did. It's not necessarily a full-time position. So we're gonna work on a job description for that position, and I'll have that to you guys as well this year. So we're not gonna fill the surveillance supervisor right now and kind of see if it's needed, because we can always move that money around to other things, especially if we're gonna look at part-time.
I don't,
Maybe job description. Like,
that wasn't blocked.
well, I was wondering on the case manager, if the DOC is kind of saying, consider hiring someone with a degree.
For the case manager,
Yeah,
yes.
would you have to revamp the job description and so forth that we did with the county last?
So that, I think that it states it's a minimum of a high school
Okay.
minimum.
So it's kind of broad
Yes.
language.
Yes, so we're definitely gonna look at hiring a case manager. Then we're going to pilot some job description duties and see what is needed and what isn't needed to work on the job description for like a part-time person.
Do you guys have a workload measures from the state? Like probation, we have like a workload
No,
measure thing.
not from it, because it's different. each county.
Yeah.
So the DOC has not set any sort of standards.
Okay. Right,
I'll
so-
work with
So fill the case manager position,
Fill the case
set
manager.
on the supervisor position, assess, and then kind of make a determination. Any questions or discussion related to that? Anybody may have? Okay, and then the board is part of the hiring process as well for candidates or vetting?
The board,
Is that- Oh, okay. Well, use this if you need.
I will, yeah.
Okay, moving on to announcements. Are there any announcements? We already mentioned assistance with the fair and fire up downtown coming up, for individuals that may need community service, or I'm sure there's other volunteer opportunities, for folks. Anything else announcement wise that people may have?
I've been promoting the town fair. They are, they use it in my job. When's the big show? Monday. You know, they did announce today, Judy might appreciate this. We have 170 goats registered and only 100 calls. So goats are taking over. They are so cute. You're all good.
Are there any fainting goats? Those are hilarious. They're the funniest thing.
And the buns.
All right, any other announcements? Anybody has really good order? I do. No, not today.
Thank you again for the charitable.
Oh, yeah. I want to announce something. Let's just. Great, yes, thank you. All right, if there be not anything else, I'll take a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Next meeting is September 10th. September 10th.
We did sign it.